In this video, we will continue discussing arrays by looking at an initializer list and a reverse traversal. Here are the subgoals for evaluating arrays. First, we set up the array from 0 to size -1. Then, we evaluate the data type of statements against the array. Finally, we trace the statements, updating the slots as we go. Here is our problem to solve. Evaluate these statements and determine the output. Then, we have the Java statements. For subgoal 1, we set up the array from 0 to size -1. In this case, we are given an initializer list for the array, alpha. We have int bracket bracket alpha is equal to open curly brace, a series of numbers separated by commas, closed curly brace, semicolon. The system understands that these are the numbers you want to put into the array, and it will allocate the appropriate size for that array. Alpha is an array of integers. All of the values inside the curly braces are integers. This statement allocates 7 slots for integers because there are 7 literal values given in the initialization list. Here is what the array alpha would look like. Position 0 would have the value 15, position 1 would have the value 24, and so on until the final position 6, size -1, would have the value 13. For subgoal 2, we evaluate the data type of statements against the array. The first statement to evaluate is system.out.println alpha.length. This statement will print 7 because the length of the array is 7. Now we have this loop, which has index I go from 6 to 0 by decrements of 1. So for every iteration of the loop, all of the array indices are within the bounds of the array, 6 through 0, and the value of 1 is added to the current value at position I in the array. All values being assigned are valid integers and can be stored in an integer array. For subgoal 3, we trace the statements, updating the slots as we go. For the first array, we begin at length -1. Length is 7, so length -1 is 6. We continue while I is greater than or equal to 0, decrementing by 1 each time. And alpha sub I gets the value alpha sub I plus 1. So all of the values in the array are incremented by 1, starting with position 6 and going down to position 1. For the second loop, we again start at length -1 and continue as long as I is greater than or equal to 0, decrementing by 1 each time. And in this case, it's printing the value alpha sub I. The values that would be printed are the values of the array in the reverse order. So we would have the following values printed: 14, 1, -3, 7, 8, 25, 16.